Welcome to Girl Dad, the podcast, the essential podcast for fathers navigating the complex but rewarding journey of raising daughters. I'm your host, Madeline Anderson, and I'm thrilled to bring you honest conversations with dads and daughters, sharing heartfelt stories, actionable advice, and real daughter perspectives that will help you be the best girl dad you can be. Hey, and welcome back to Girl Dad, the podcast. I'm your host, Madeline Anderson, and today we have a deep dive on how to build your daughter's confidence. This is a very important topic, and this is something that a lot of dads ask about, and so I'm really excited to bring this to you today. We'll start off by defining what confidence is. Then we'll talk about how it's built. I'll touch on 2 common mistakes when it comes to helping your daughter build confidence. And then we'll finish up with a few tips on how you can help build your daughter's confidence. And so with that, let's talk about what confidence really is. Confidence is self-assurance. It is the belief in your own ability to handle whatever life throws at you, even if you fail. And it's not about being the loudest person in the room or never having any self-doubt or being arrogant. And it definitely doesn't mean that you don't have fear. It means that you're willing to try and you're willing to persevere and that you believe in your own worth regardless of the outcome or what others think. So when it comes to confidence, there's internal confidence and there's external confidence. And external confidence is more physical and it's based on how you feel when you look in the mirror. And internal confidence is based on how you feel about who you are as a person. And really, the stronger the internal confidence, the more beautiful you really are. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be focusing on internal confidence because that's what matters. And that's what you as a father have an extremely important role in helping her build. Okay, so when it comes to building confidence, it is not something that you were born with. It is not in the DNA, like the confidence gene. It's something that you build throughout time by having different experiences and trying things, failing, and persevering. And one thing that really contributes to confidence is competence. And so when you're competent at something, then you feel more confident doing it. And that's why it's so important to help your daughter build skills, lots of different skills. And it's really not about the skill itself, but it's about the self-belief that learning that skill and building that skill creates. Another thing that builds confidence is resilience, and how you learn resilience is by going through different experiences and challenges and failing, but learning that that's not the end. You can get back up on your feet, and failure is part of the journey. And really, for dads out there, it's important to teach your daughter how to fail, not how to avoid failure. And I think that's a really important distinction that my dad really made a point of us learning. And I think that he used golf as a really good example of this kind of thing. So whenever I think of resilience, I think about being on the golf course and my dad just kind of being in my ear on all the things that he would say. But some of his common phrases were, he loves his little corny phrases, were drive for show, putt for dough, control what you can control. And so when it comes to drive for show, putt for dough, it's really just about the fact that a beautiful drive, 250 yards, gorgeous, down the middle of the fairway, matters just as much as a 1-inch putt. And so that really helps me focus on each shot and what's in front of me. And that helps build resilience because you have to be willing to step up to the ball after hitting a really bad shot and know that that shot mattered just as much as that other one. And knowing that also there's plenty of shots ahead of you that you have a chance to redeem that one shot. And so it's really about getting back up on your feet and playing the game. And then control what you can control is kind of got that same element baked into it. So you can't control what you've already hit, right? Like those points or those shots already counted. But what you can control is your focus and your mental game moving on to the next hole or to the next shot. and feeling really confident and good about what's to come. I can't tell you how many things that I hear myself saying that really my dad has said to me, but it's my confidence. That's my kind of foundational self-belief that my dad helped me establish by putting me through different situations, like golf, teaching me the game, but also teaching me how to navigate the game. It's not just about how to play golf. It's how to fail at golf, how to keep playing even when you are failing, how to keep a healthy, positive mindset no matter what the shot looks like, no matter how the game is going. All these different things are the foundation of confidence. So now that we know what the foundation of confidence is, which again has to do with developing the skill throughout time, becoming competent at different skills, and building resilience, now we can talk about two common mistakes when it comes to building your daughter's confidence. Before we dive into those two mistakes, I do want to mention that these mistakes are often made with good intentions and they happen a lot. So if you are guilty of this or if this has happened in the past, do not worry. Control what you can control. I know you want your daughter to be confident. Let's talk about these so that you can avoid making them. Okay, so the first one is the I can fix it mistake. And this is when dads, with good intentions, as I mentioned, try to solve their daughter's problems. And I think the root of this really comes down to the fact that the male brain and the female brain are wired so differently. Men are natural problem solvers, and that is an amazing thing. I think men, fathers, husbands, they try to solve women's problems in an effort to help them, but that's just how they operate, and that's not necessarily what we need in the moment. So, first of all, if we come to you with a problem, half the time it's really just about um, helping us by comforting us and by asking the right questions so that we can release the emotions ourselves, not just kind of cutting to the solution the way that your brain might want to do. So, the issue with confidence in this case is that one, it can unintentionally send the message that your daughter is not capable of handling this problem herself if you just jump to solve it for her. And also, there are so many different opportunities to learn in each problem that she faces. She can learn resilience, she can learn some problem solving skills, and those are really key for confidence, as we discussed earlier. So instead of trying to just jump to the solution and help her fix things, you can instead try to act as her sounding board or her counsel or her mentor and bounce ideas off of her that might help guide her to the solution. And maybe it's the solution that you saw all along, but help her get there herself. I think that's really the main theme here with confidence is help your daughter help herself. So in order to be a sounding board or this mentor, you can ask her the right questions. And maybe that's something like, what do you want to do about this? Or how do you think you can solve that? Really, at the end of the day, you want to be the guide and you want to help her help herself. Okay, so the next mistake is the everyone gets a trophy mistake. And this one is really all about overpraising your daughter. And again, the intention here is to build her confidence. I know that, but this can actually really backfire. One, it can create a sense of pressure to be the best at everything and be perfect. And then two, it can also create dependence on external validation. So if she's always hearing how amazing she is, how beautiful she is, how she's number one, she's the best at everything, then she has this extreme pressure and unhealthy expectation of herself to be perfect on every level. Also, that prevents her from wanting to do things and wanting to try things and fail at things because she doesn't know how to fail. Because in her eyes, you've never seen her fail. She needs to be perfect. And then also that external validation piece. So if she's always getting external validation, she doesn't know how to internally validate. And that's a really big issue because as we mentioned, internal confidence comes from inside you and how you think about yourself and how you perceive yourself. And so building her internal confidence cannot be done just externally. You need to teach her how to be proud of herself, how to feel good about herself, and how to be confident that she can accomplish things on her own. And I think this everyone gets a trophy kind of mistake really focuses on the outcome. And really what needs to happen is the focus on the journey, not just the outcome. Because again, if she's focused on the outcome and she thinks that's what makes you proud, she may not try things that have a lower percentage of achieving that outcome just because she wants that kind of validation. This everyone gets a trophy trap also prevents drive to a certain extent. I think of the little kids' soccer games where everyone gets a trophy. So why try to be number one? Like, why work really hard to play your best, play your heart out, to score as many goals as possible? If everyone gets a trophy, what's the point? Like, the outcome of everyone winning prevents that journey of hard work and discipline and resilience building, confidence building. That is really important. So again, I think just overpraising in general can be negative. So another thing you can do is to tell her to be proud of herself. You should be so proud of yourself, or what are you most proud of today? Those kinds of things. And really focusing on praising the effort and the process and not the outcome. The last thing I'll say here is just that the quantity of how many times you're praising your daughter matters, because if you say something all the time and it's just constantly in your narrative, then she might even question whether or not it's true, because it's just something that it's just words at a certain point. So being really deliberate about the time that you praise and how you praise her, I think is really, really key to building her confidence. Okay, so let's finish up with some actionable tips on how you can build your daughter's confidence. Kind of talked a little bit about what not to do and some common mistakes, but what about what you should do? And there's lots of things you can do, but these are just some that I've learned from my personal experience with how my dad raised my daughter, or my sisters and I. And through all my interviews with dads and daughters, especially the daughters who really shared how their dads impacted their confidence. So, number one is to focus on effort, not outcomes. And we just talked a lot about this, but this is really about praising her hard work, praising her perseverance, and her problem-solving skills rather than her successes. So if she gets an A+ on a project, instead of saying how proud you are that she got an A+, say, I saw how hard you were working on that project. That is so well deserved. I'm so proud of you. Really highlight the work that it took to get the A+. Okay, number two is encourage her to take risks and to fail at them. So again, I think it's so important that as a dad, you're teaching your daughter how to fail, not how to avoid failure. So let her try things that she might not be good at, and don't rush to fix her mistakes. Let her experience small failures and let her learn to solve her own problems, because she will gain a lot of confidence from that process. So for example, I decided in 6th grade that I was going to try out for every single sport offered at my middle school. And I tried out for the volleyball team, and my town that I grew up in was very big in volleyball. And so this was a highly competitive sport. I had never touched a volleyball prior to this tryout. It was the most embarrassing thing I put myself through, probably maybe to this day, honestly, just showing up on that court with zero understanding of how the game worked. We were doing drills. I did not know what I was doing. I didn't know how to hold my hands. It was bad. And I got cut the first day, didn't make it to the second cut. That was embarrassing. That hurt. Well, I had a lot of friends who made it to day 2. The point here is that I actually learned a lot through that experience, and my parents told me that they were really proud of me for trying out for every sport, including the ones that I didn't make. And, there were sports that I did make, and that felt really good. And so I think it was an important lesson, because I put myself through something really uncomfortable, and I sat in those uncomfortable feelings. I looked at that list. Everyone was huddled around it. My name wasn't on there. I was defeated. But I really thought a lot about it, and it made me reflect on how hard work really pays off. You cannot expect to go into something if you haven't worked for it and achieve it. It's so silly now, even thinking that I thought I could make the team because I had not put in the work. And it was a really good reflection exercise for me. So, again, just to bring it back, number 2 is to encourage her to take risks and to fail because she will learn things from it and she will build her confidence in the process. Okay, number 3 is to model a healthy relationship with yourself. So it's really important that you show her what it looks like to be confident in your own skin and with your own self-confidence. This means admitting when you don't know something or apologizing when you're wrong and not criticizing yourself in front of her. That's a big one. So your daughter will learn a lot, not just by what you say to her, but by what you say to yourself and your actions. This really goes for women too, maybe even more so. So I can attest as a woman myself that women tend to be really hard on themselves and there's a lot of negative self-talk and criticism. So really be aware for you and your partner, your wife, on how you're speaking to yourself or about yourself in front of your daughter. She will take what you say to heart and she will start to form her own narrative of herself, a lot of times based on what you're saying about yourself. Okay. Number 4 is to value her opinion and her ideas. So when you ask for her input on different things, whether it's big or small, like what do you think we should make for dinner tonight? What do you want to do this weekend? Or, could you help give me some advice? Those are all ways that she can help build her confidence because she's making decisions. She feels confident backing them up. And it also teaches her that her voice and her thoughts really matter, which again gives her confidence. And then number 5, the last tip, is to expose her to different experiences, whether it's a new sport, a different hike, a challenge of some sort. Putting her in situations where she's outside of her comfort zone can help her build this kind of portfolio of I can do this moment. So it's really, again, about the journey that builds the confidence. And the more that you can help put her in those situations where she builds her confidence, the better. So to summarize today's conversation about confidence and how to help your daughter build her confidence, I think it's really all about helping her build competence, resilience, and being there as a supportive environment. One thing I was talking to my sister about, and I just talked about in our last podcast episode with Hannah, is this idea of support from dad. And I want to close out here because this is really important. So when it comes to the desire to put yourself in situations where you are uncomfortable and it is foreign territory and you might fail, having the knowledge that your dad has your back means so much. And this is not about finances. It's not, go try this thing and pour all this money into it because if you fail, your dad will bail you out and pay your rent. That's not what this is about. This is about knowing that no matter what situations you put yourself through, no matter what jobs you apply for and don't get, your dad is there. He's got your back. He has your best interest in mind. He loves you. He supports you. That feeling as a daughter, it is so hard to explain the kind of impact that has. But let me just tell you, it is huge. It is massive. So as a dad, telling your daughter, no matter what, you've got her back means so much. I think that is key. And really, when it comes to your daughter's confidence, you do play a crucial role. There's a lot of science around it. I won't get into that and scare you, but it's a real thing. And what I'm trying to say here is just that you create the supportive environment that allows her to build her confidence. And I think all the tips that we talked about are really important. The mistakes to avoid are also important. But at the end of the day, being there as her dad and having her back is so huge. So just as a final thought, your daughter doesn't need you to give her confidence. You can't give her confidence. She needs you to create the space for her to build it herself. So as we mentioned, help her help herself build her confidence. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned some things that you're going to apply. And I wish you all the best. This is not rocket science, but it's so important to be aware of these kinds of things and help be supportive to your daughter, but not too supportive. And yeah, you have such an impact on your daughter, more than you know, but it's a beautiful thing. And anyone who is listening to this episode is doing the right thing. You are taking the right steps to having a better relationship. And I'm so grateful that you are here today. I want to thank you for wanting to improve your daughter's life and your relationship with your daughter. She will thank you if she hasn't already. And yeah, go out there, have a great day. I look forward to tuning in with you next week. Thank you for tuning in to Girl Dad, the podcast. If you found today's conversation helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow girl dad. I read every review and truly take your words to heart. To close out, remember, your intentional moments make lasting legacies. See you next week.